Landslides throw normal life out of gear in region's biggest city, Guwahati. At least 5 people dead in nature's fury. NDRF, SDRF pressed into service. Disaster Management Minister rushing to Guwahati. Met Department warns of more rains in Guwahati in next 3 days. District administration urges people in vulnerable areas to move to safer locations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in crucial Quad forum with US, Israel and UAE. Summit comes amid US President Joe Biden's visit to Israel and Saudi Arabia. Centre announces historic Agnipath scheme for recruitment in armed forces. 4-year service scheme in Army, Navy and Air Force termed transformative initiative to provide youthful profile to forces. And is Meghalaya BJP mulling to pull out of NPP-led coalition in state? Final decision to be taken in central BJP's Hyderabad meet, reveals state party chief. Hello and welcome to News Night. Well, it has been a day of flood fury in Guwahati with incessant rains throwing normal life out of gear. So we will bring you all the latest updates on the flood situation in a bit. But let us first have a look at some of the stories making headlines in the nation and globally. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in a crucial virtual summit of the Quadrilateral Economic Forum 12U2, comprising India, Israel, and United Arab Emirates and the United States, alongside US President Joe Biden. Well, the four nations decided to launch this new Quad as External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar joined his counterparts at a meeting by a video conference from Jerusalem. Biden's first trip to the Middle East region next month, visiting Israel's West Bank and Saudi Arabia from July 13 to 16, and Prime Minister Modi will participate in 12U2 virtual summit alongside I2U2 virtual summit alongside Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed, and officials said. Well, it would be the highest level gathering of the forum today. The leaders will discuss the food security crisis and other areas of cooperation across hemispheres where the UAE and Israel serve as important innovation hubs. So, viewers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in a crucial virtual summit of the Quadrilateral Economic Forum I2U2, comprising India, Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States, alongside US President Joe Biden. And also, let me tell our viewers once again here that the four nations decided to launch this new Quad at External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar joined his counterparts at a meeting by a video conference from Jerusalem. And moving on now. Well, former Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf, who has been hospitalized for the last 3 weeks due to health-related complications, is set to return home from self-imposed exile. However, the exact date of his arrival in Pakistan was not immediately disclosed. Officials in Pakistan are making arrangements to allow the return of 79-year-old former general, says reports. And meanwhile, an air ambulance will bring Musharraf back from a Dubai hospital, given the consent of his family and doctors, the report added. Well, since 2016, Musharraf has been living in the UAE when he was allowed to travel abroad on bail for medical treatment. At the time, he was being tried in Pakistan on treason charges, which got later overturned by a high court ruling. Well, last week, media reports started doing rounds about his deteriorating health of Musharraf. And on Twitter, Musharraf's family refuted reports that he is on the ventilator and said he is going through a difficult stage of recovery at his organs, as his organs are malfunctioning. And in some other stories now, well, graduation photos of Ukrainian students posing in front of destroyed buildings and wrecked tanks have left a rather powerful impact on netizens across the world. Well, photographer Stanislav Singh, who was capturing the images, said after experiencing the traumas of the war firsthand, he intended to capture the very important story of about 40 graduating seniors from schools. Well, the photographer said it was very important to capture that in memory so that after 10 to 15 years, when they have their own children, they can show those pictures to them. Well, there are a total of 13 students in the viral photo. With damaged and destroyed buildings in the background, the students can be seen confident and fearless from their faces. The post has received over tens of thousands of likes. Over 10,000 people have retweeted the images. Users from the world over reacted in the comment section of the post. Well, a user wrote the photos from their bombed out schools are a powerful reminder of what they have lost. Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine brought untold miseries to thousands. In this video, a Ukrainian girl can be seen playing flute to raise money for the Ukrainian military. Let's take a look. And in some other stories now, has superpower China failed to handle the third wave of COVID? Well, the mayor of a northeastern Chinese city on the North Korean border that has been under lockdown for more than 50 days has apologized for failures in his administration's work amidst widespread but often disguised dissatisfaction over the government's heavy handed approach to handling the pandemic. Well, Dendon Mayor Had Jiazun gave no specifics but said government work and basic services had been unsatisfactory, for which he offered his apologies, according to a statement issued by the city government late Monday. Well, it is highly unusual for a ranking Communist Party official to publicly concede errors, particularly regarding the hardline zero COVID policy that has been repeatedly endorsed by top officials under President and party leader Xi Jinping. And despite reporting only a handful of cases, Dandong has seen one of the strictest lockdowns in China. Well, in his reported comments at a meeting with residents, Howe acknowledged the sacrifices made by the city's 2.4 million citizens, along with the complaining voices among them over the government's work. Well, Dandon would now be moving into a stage of pandemic control that would be more proactive, more active, and even more effective, Howe added. All right, shifting focus now. Well, a crisis hit Sri Lanka is asking civil servants to take an extra day off each week to grow crops in their backyards in a bid to forestall a looming food shortage. Well, the island nation's unprecedented economic downturn has left several staple foods in short supply, along with petrol and medicines, and rampant inflation is ravaging household budgets. Well, it seems appropriate to grant government officials leave for one working day of the week and provide them with the necessary facilities to engage in agricultural activities in their backyards, a cabinet statement said. Well, the extra day off would be a solution to the food shortage that is expected to occur in the future, the statement read, adding that cutting down on civil servant commutes would also help reduce fuel consumption. Well, last week, the United Nations warned Sri Lanka was facing a dire humanitarian crisis and said 4 out of the 5 people in the nation of 22 million were forced to skip meals. Well, motorists, meanwhile, have suffered through months of chronic petrol and diesel shortages, and long queues of vehicles outside filling stations are a regular sight around the country. Well, public employees will have every Friday off for the next 3 months without a pay cut, according to the cabinet decision. But the arrangement will not apply to essential services staff. Meanwhile, the government also said any members of the 1.5 million strong public sector who wanted to travel abroad to find work would be given up to 5 years of unpaid leave without affecting their seniority or pensions. Well, the move is aimed at encouraging more people to get foreign jobs and send money back to the island, which is laboring under a critical shortage of foreign currency to buy imports. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka has defaulted on its 51 billion foreign debt and is in talks with the International Monetary Fund for a bailout. Well, public protests have demanded the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa over the mismanagement of the country's economy and the severe hardships facing by its people. And in a tragic incident, well, a ship cramped with thousands of sheep sank in Sudan's Red Sea, drowning most of animals on board. And however, as per reports, all the crew on board survived. Well, sources said that the livestock vessel was exporting animals from Sudan to Saudi Arabia. In a statement, a senior Sudanese port official said that the ship was carrying 15,800 sheep. And meanwhile, the head of the association's livestock division, Saleh Salim, informed that the total value of the lost livestock was around 14 Saudi riyals. And meanwhile, he further said that the livestock owners recovered only around 700 sheep, but they were found very ill and are not expected to live long. He also confirmed that the sheep was loaded onto the vessel at Suakin port. And moving on now. Well, Bitcoin neared a price level on Tuesday that could force software firm MicroStrategy Incorporation to add more tokens against a Bitcoin backed loan or trigger selling some of its vast holdings, setting fragile cryptocurrency markets on edge. While MicroStrategy, an aggressive investor in Bitcoin, said it borrowed $205 million from crypto bank Silvergate Capital in March, with the 3-year loan mostly secured against some 19,466 Bitcoins. Well, if the Bitcoin's price dropped below about $21,000, that would trigger a margin call or a demand for extra capital. It was unclear if the price moves had any consequences for MicroStrategy or if the firm already provided more Bitcoin or cash to secure the loan. Well, the company and Silvergate did not respond to requests for comment. on to our sports news now. Well, FIFA will announce its host cities for the 2026 World Cup on June 16 with Edmonton, Toronto, and Vancouver, the three Canadian options waiting to hear their name. In all, 22 candidate cities have raised their hand to stage matches of the expanded 48-team men's tournament that will be hosted by the US, Canada, and Mexico. While the number of host cities was initially pegged at 16, FIFA's chief tournaments and events officer said that the final number has not been defined. Well, the announcement will be made at a news conference in New York. Well, Mexico's candidate cities are Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. And now it's time for a very short break. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
গুড মৰ্ণিং খুৰা একা পাতা দিয়া ছা
এই আমাজনী
মোদীজী মোৰ পৰিয়াল বাৰু খুৰা আপুনি দেৱালত কিয় লিখিছে মোদীজী মোৰ পৰিয়াল প্ৰধানমন্ত্ৰী আপোনাক চিনি পায় কি
চিনিতো নাপায় কিন্তু আমাৰ দুখ তেওঁ সহ্য কৰিব নোৱাৰে
মানে
নবুজিলা ঘৰে ঘৰে বিনামূলীয়া ৰাচন যোগান ধৰে বেজি দিয়ালে আৰু মাজনী সংকটত যোনে তোমাক লগ দিয়ে তেওঁহে প্ৰকৃততে পৰিয়ালৰ
বুজিলো খুৰা আপোনাৰ পৰিয়াল বেষ্ট হয়
লোৱা চাহ খোৱা
সুগন্ধ ৰং আৰু সোৱাদ খাতি এভৰিডে জিভাত দিয়ে আচল জুতি এভৰিডে স্পাইচেছ 100% টেষ্ট এভৰিডে স্পাইচেছ বেষ্ট
মই ব্যৱহাৰ কৰো আটাইতকৈ সবল আৰু সতেজ চিমেণ্ট সূৰ্যা চিমেণ্ট অটুট ঘৰ অটুট অসম
Welcome back. You're watching Northeast Live and moving on now. Well, situation continues to be grim in region's largest city, Guwahati, with the death toll due to floods and landslides rising to 5. Incessant rains threw normal life out of gear as people in vulnerable localities were confined to their houses, and the NDRF and SDRF called in to reach out to those in need of urgent assistance. Well, incessant rains last night that lasted for over 8 hours flooded major parts of Guwahati, causing innumerable inconvenience to commuters. Moreover, multiple landslides triggered by incessant rains only made things worse. Meanwhile, in view of the heavy rainfall in Guwahati, all educational institutions in Kamrup Metro District will be closed tomorrow. However, an exception has been made for schools that are centers for any examinations. So, the gateway to the northeast, Guwahati, which is home to nearly 2 million people, has been adversely affected by flash floods and landslides following incessant rainfall. Well, such is the situation that the district administration had to seek help from the SDRF and NDRF to reach out to affected people, some of whom were marooned due to flooding in the localities. Well, taking note of the situation, the Kamrup Metropolitan District Administration also issued an advisory to citizens asking them not to venture out unless absolutely essential. Well, the administration has also advised that occupants of residences which are prone to waterlogging and landslides must shift to a safer locations or contact the district administration. Meanwhile, we have reactions coming in from GMC Commissioner Devashish Sharma. Listen in.
এই সৰু ল'ৰা ছোৱালীখিনি দেখিছে সেই সৰু ল'ৰা ছোৱালীখিনিক আমি নিজৰ তেওঁলোকৰ গেষ্ট হাউচলৈ আমি পঠিওৱাৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰিছোঁ। আৰু আমাৰ ট্ৰেক্টৰ এতিয়া আহি পাইছেহি। আমাৰ ট্ৰেক্টৰৰ পিছপিনে ট্ৰেইলাৰ থাকিব। ট্ৰেইলাৰত ডিষ্ট্ৰিক্ট এডমিনিষ্ট্ৰেশ্যনৰ তৰফৰ পৰা যিখিনি খাদ্য সামগ্ৰী দিয়া হৈছে, এতিয়াও বহুত আমাৰ এনে লোক আছে যিসকলে দ্বিতীয়বাৰৰ বাবে তেওঁলোকে পানী বিচাৰিছে বা খাদ্য সামগ্ৰী বিচাৰিছে আৰু মমবাতি বিচাৰিছে। সেই বস্তুখিনি আমি লোকেল ইয়াৰে স্থানীয় যিখিনি ল'ৰা আছে তেওঁলোকে আমাক বহুত সহায়ৰ হাত আগবঢ়াইছে। তেওঁলোকৰ লগত মিলি যাতে কোনো এটা ঘৰ বাকী থাকি নাযায়, চব এতিয়া এই লোকেল ল'ৰা ছোৱালীখিনিয়ে তেওঁলোকে ইয়াৰ কোনখিনি ঘৰত আমি দিব পাৰিছোঁ বা এতিয়াও দিয়া হোৱা নাই সেই গোটেইখিনি জানে। তেওঁলোকে দেখিছে, আমাৰ লগত লাগি আছে আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ লগত আমি মিলি পেলাই এই বিতৰণৰ কাৰ্যসূচী হাতত লৈছোঁ আৰু গোটেই ৰাতি আমি ইয়াত থাকিম, আমি ইয়াৰ পৰা গুচি নাযাওঁ।
Meanwhile, Assam Disaster Management Minister Jogen Mohan, who is in Tifu for the two-day BJP executive meet, is rushing to Guwahati to hold a meet with ASDMA and other departments on the current situation. While talking exclusively to Northeast Live on the sidelines of the BJP meet, Jogen Mohan said that the unprecedented rains since last night had led to the crisis.
We have with us Assam Disaster Management Minister Mr. Jogen Mohan. देखा गया कि अभी जो परिस्थिति है गुवाहाटी में बहुत ही खराब है, लोग बहुत ही मुश्किल परिस्थिति से गुजर रहे हैं, क्या बोलेंगे?
गुवाहाटी में जो आर्टिफिशियल फ्लड अभी आज दिने ज़्यादा हो गया, सारा रात बारिश कल से आज तक, इसीलिए बारिश हुआ। अभी थोड़ा कम है। ये हम लोग का डिपार्टमेंट अभी यहाँ में अलर्ट है, कोई किसी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा पब्लिक को। 2-3 दिन अभी ऐसे चलेगा, तो हम लोग फिर प्रिवेंटिव मेजर लेना पड़ेगा। आई विल गो टुडे टू द गवर्नमेंट गुवाहाटी, तो हाई ऑफिसर्स के साथ बात करूंगा किसी को ये कंट्रोल करना है, ये कोई प्रिवेंटिव मेजर किसी लगे है। ये पब्लिक को आने जाना, ऑफिस आने जाना, ये घूमना बहुत मुश्किल हुआ अभी।
Well, it also needs to be mentioned here that an early morning tragedy in Boragaon area of Guwahati, 4 laborers lost their lives when the structure they were taking shelter in due to a landslide. Well, the deceased have been identified as Manwar Hussain, Matiur Haq, Haseenu Ali and Amrul Haq.
ৰাতি আমি গম পাইছিলোঁ কি লেণ্ডশ্লাইড হৈছে বৰাগাঁও জেগাটোত, আৰু গম পাই আমি ৰাতি আহিলোঁ। ৰাতি আহি পেলাই এইখিনি আমি দেখিলোঁ কি ৱাল ভাঙি পিছফালে পাহাৰ আছিলে, আৰু আমি গম পোৱা তাত 4জন লেবাৰ মানে ওচৰৰ বাসিন্দাৰ পৰা আমি গম পাইছোঁ শুই আছিলে ৰাতি। হয়তো তেওঁলোকে গম নাপালে, হঠাতে এই ঘটনাটো ঘটিল। ৱাল ভাঙি মাটি পাহাৰখিনি ভিতৰলৈ সোমাই আহিলে। 4জন বুলি আমি এতিয়ালৈ গম পাইছোঁ।
Meanwhile, a woman lost her life due to floods in Anil Nagar area of Guwahati. And our Chief of Bureau, Arindam Das, also caught up with Guwahati Mayor Mrigen Horania to get an update on the steps taken to restore normalcy. Listen in.
Mayor of Guwahati, Mr. Mrigen Soronia. Well, the people of Guwahati are passing through one of the troubled times right now. So, how is the situation?
ये बात है आप लोग का, जो यहाँ का गुवाहाटी का जो बारिश का टाइम है, वो बारिश का जो लेवल है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है, 133 mm का है। इस तरह बारिश गुवाहाटी में बहुत कमती दिखाता है, लेकिन इस बार बहुत रात से बारिश हो रहा है। तो बारिश का कारण ये पानी ज़्यादा हो रहा है। हम लोग का जो पानी जाने का रास्ता है, आउटलेट है, वो बहुत क्लियर है, पानी जा रहा है। लेकिन ज़्यादा पानी होने से ये थोड़ा वक्त लगेगा, शॉर्ट टाइम में हम लोग ये निकल जाएंगे।
तो अभी तक क्या खबर आ रही है, कितने कैजुअलिटी और इंजरी हुए लैंडस्लाइड और फ्लड में?
लैंडस्लाइड में थोड़ा 4-5 का ये खबर आ रहा है। हम और ऑफिशियल से बात करके कि क्या कोशिश कर सकते हैं हम करेंगे।
मेट डिपार्टमेंट में और भी 2 दिन तक बारिश होने की आशंका जताई है, तो क्या एफर्ट है अभी आपके तरफ से, आप लोगों की तरफ से ये सिचुएशन को टैकल करने के लिए?
हम लोग का जितना एफर्ट है वो तो हम लगा चुका है, लेकिन और जल्दी से पानी निकालने से हम जेसीबी जो है और जो क्लियर है, जो लोग वाटर लॉगिंग जहाँ जहाँ हुआ वो हम लोग क्लियर करके ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जल्दी पानी निकालने की हम लोग कोशिश करेंगे। पाम वगैरह जो है उसका से आगे और करने से हम लोग कोशिश करेंगे।
और रेस्क्यू में
रेस्क्यू में हम लोग का जो डीसी का ऑफिस है वो वो कह कैम वगैरह हो रहा है, पीने का पानी भी दे रहा है, वो खाने का सामान भी दे रहा है, वो सब करने के लिए हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
डीसी की तरफ से एक अलर्ट जारी किया गया कि अनलेस एंड अनटिल कोई जरूरी काम ना हो घर से ना निकले।
वो बात है, ज़्यादा से बारिश होने के कारण हम पब्लिक को अलर्ट कर लेंगे, और पहाड़ में जो वासी है वो लोग भी थोड़ा सावधान से रहना चाहिए। और हम लोग का अपील है जो वो लोग नीचे आके रहे, किस कारण कोई समय में कुछ भी हो सकता है, आप लोग अलर्ट रहिए। और जो हम लोग का बांध पानी का है, अगर वो सब देख के आज हम रात में बैठ के क्या करते हैं हम लोग देखेंगे।
Thank you very much. That was the mayor of Guwahati, Mr. Mrigan Sorania, talking exclusively to Northeast Live. Reporting from Difu, this is Arindam Das for Northeast Live.
Well, landslides have also taken a huge toll in the lives of Guwahati residents. For instance, take a look at these visuals from Kanchan Nagar in Noonmati area, where a 30-meter long guard wall collapsed in the landslide, adding to the woes of the people. Well, fortunately, the people residing in the area could somehow come to safety. And likewise, similar is the scene in Kargoli area, where landslides have damaged a guard wall. And meanwhile, landslides have also been reported in the Nilachal Hill, which brought vehicular movement to a standstill for a few hours. And parts of North Guwahati also witnessed landslides triggered by heavy rains. And as floodwaters inundated major parts of Guwahati, NDRF and SDRF personnel were pressed into service for relief and rescue operations. NDRF and SDRF teams were seen in action in several parts of Guwahati, including the Rajgarh area. Our colleague Ajit Jaiswal caught up with NDRF personnel to get an update on the relief operations. Take a look.
यहाँ पर गुवाहाटी के किन किन स्थानों में एनडीआरएफ की तरफ से राहत एवं बचाव का कार्य चलाया जा रहा है, उसके बारे में थोड़ा।
सबसे पहले जो ये गुवाहाटी है, अनिल नगर है आपका, राजगढ़ के पास में। यहाँ पे जैसे आप जानते हैं हर साल हेवी रेन के वजह से काफी यहाँ पे फ्लड हो जाता है, जो कि एक्चुअली अर्बन फ्लड कहते हैं। और यहाँ पे अर्ली मॉर्निंग समथिंग कॉल किया था, और यहाँ पे मेरा एक टीम है जो फास्ट एंड गुवाहाटी की टीम है, वहाँ पे एक टीम डिप्लॉय हुआ था। अर्ली मॉर्निंग एटलीस्ट समथिंग 11:30 से ऑपरेशन चल रहा है यहाँ पे। यहाँ पे पहले सबसे पहले पानी का जो लेवल था, एटलीस्ट वेस्ट लेवल या आपका अपर वेस्ट लेवल तक पानी था। आप देख रहे हैं बगल में यहाँ पे जो भरोलो नदी है उसमें भी काफी पानी था। और रिसेंट अभी अपडेट है यहाँ पे एटलीस्ट 1 फीट पानी लोअर हो गया, लेस हो गया। जब उस समय पानी ज्यादा था उस समय काफी लोगों को खाली करना पड़ा। उस समय कुछ प्रेग्नेंट लेडी भी थी, उसको हमने ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी दिया। और इसलिए जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन उन्होंने इनका जो सिविल डिफेंस है काफी कोऑपरेट किया, और कोऑपरेट करने के बाद हम उसी को गाइड को फॉलो करते, जहाँ जहाँ इमरजेंसी ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी थी उस लोकेशन में जाके इन लोगों को पहले इवैक्यूएशन किया हमने। एक प्रेग्नेंट लेडी थी, और अर्ली मॉर्निंग एक डेड बॉडी भी मिला था हम लोग को, जो भी लेडीज था 85 समथिंग होगा, उनको भी हमने वहाँ से फास्ट उनको प्रायोरिटी दिया। डेड बॉडी को हमने लेके गया, उनको रिलेटिव को हैंड ओवर किया, फिर आगे लेके चला गया। फिर ये कंटिन्यू चलता रहा लगभग। उसके बाद क्योंकि पानी पूरा भरा रखा है, उसमें गवर्नमेंट डीडीएमए की तरफ से काफी रिलीफ आइटम भी डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया गया, जिसमें आपका शामिल था वाटर बोतल था, आपका पानी का बोतल, क्योंकि पानी का दिक्कत आ रही है यहाँ पे वाटर ड्रिंकिंग के लिए, वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया। उसके बाद आपने कुछ खाने का सामान, फूड आइटम भी यहाँ पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुआ। साथ ही साथ रात के लिए, क्योंकि इलेक्ट्रिक यूटिलिटी काट पूरा यहाँ पे हो रखा है, यहाँ पे बिजली शायद कनेक्शन नहीं दे पाएगा, इसीलिए क्या उन्होंने डीडीएमए की तरफ से और कैंडल भी इसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया गया। ये अभी फिलहाल कंटिन्यू चल रहा है, और फिलहाल अभी क्या है वाटर लेवल काफी कम हो गया है।
Meanwhile, there may be no respite for the residents of Guwahati, at least for the next 2 days, as far as inclement weather is concerned. The Met Department has predicted very heavy to heavy rainfall across Guwahati till June 17. And this comes as a warning signal at a time when major parts of the city are already reeling under floodwaters.
8 बजे 14 जून 2022 को जो synoptic situation है, there is a east-west trough which runs from East Uttar Pradesh to Manipur across the central parts of Bihar, sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Sikkim and Assam at mean sea level. और आने वाले समय में हम लोग 3 दिनों में हम लोग एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि moderate rain is very likely to occur at most places over Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura.
Well, time for another short break. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
Oh, বাহ!
অভূতপূর্ব ভ্যারাইটি, অপূর্ব মূল্য। ডাউনলোড মিশো।
ছাৰ আপোনাৰ পাৰ্চেল। ধন্যবাদ ছাৰ। এয়া আপোনাৰ ঘৰৰ বাহিৰত মোদীজীৰ ফটো। আমাৰ পৰিয়ালৰ হয়। কি কথা কয় ছাৰ? আৰে চোৱা, যোনে আমাক পইচা দিলে আৰু যাৰ বাবে আমি ঘৰটো কিনিলো। চোৱা, এতিয়া এই গোটেই ঘৰটো তোমাৰ বৌয়েৰৰ নামত আছে। এতিয়া আমাৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালীয়ে পঢ়িব লিখিব, তেন্তে সিহঁতৰ ভৱিষ্যত আমাতকৈ উন্নত নহ'ব জানো? হয় ছাৰ, আপুনি একদম শুদ্ধ কথা কৈছে। উন্নতটো হৈছেই। এতিয়া চাওকচোন, মোৰ মাৰ দৰৱৰ খৰচ 1000 টকা আছিল, এতিয়াতো 300 টকাতেই হৈ যায়। সেয়া মোদীজী এতিয়া তোমাৰ পৰিয়ালৰো হৈ গ'ল। হয় ছাৰ।
মই ব্যৱহাৰ কৰোঁ আটাইতকৈ সবল আৰু সতেজ চিমেণ্ট, সূৰ্য চিমেণ্ট। সূৰ্য চিমেণ্ট, অটুট ঘৰ, অটুট অসম।
आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में, बड़े छोटे साथ आओ ऐश करो नाचो गाओ मस्ती में। आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में।
Northeast.
Welcome back. You're watching Northeast Live, and now moving on to a big story from Meghalaya. Is the state BJP still mulling to withdraw from the NPP-led alliance? Well, Meghalaya BJP President Ernest Mauri indicated that the state unit of the party may press upon the central leadership to consider pulling out of the coalition.
When we have the State Executive Committee on the 25th of May in the presence of Ajay Jamalji, some of the party caricators from various districts, they have expressed their view that we should come out from the government and withdraw the support. And where from me as the state president and from the general secretary in charge of organization, we have given a clear statement that this matter has to be taken by the central leadership. And we have already communicated them, and it is their initiative, it is their prerogative to give the direction whether we should remain with the government or we will withdraw support.
But sticking with the government, don't you think it will damage the prospects of the party in the elections?
Let's see. We'll wait for the decision from the center.
Center has already made it clear that we will stick with the party. NDP-led government.
You see, this matter we'll discuss again on. We have the national executive meeting in Hyderabad. So in that meeting, we'll take a call because they will call for the report from Meghalaya. I'll present that report.
What are the views of the MLAs? Have you? What
the view of both the MLA? They have to wait for the decision from center.
Meanwhile, Meghalaya BJP Vice President Bernard Marak indicated that considering the alleged corruption in the GHADC and KHADC, the NPP will have to be held accountable for things at some point or the other.
It's not only targeted at NPP, it's targeted at the government. And as far as NPP is concerned, I talk only about district councils. And the district councils in Garo Hills was run by NPP in the previous term also, now also. So all the mismanagement and the misappropriation of funds has been done under the leadership of NPP. So that's why the NPP thing comes in. But as far as state is concerned, we are not targeting the NPP or not. We are not mentioning about the NPP. But yes, Chief Minister being the NPP hat, he has to take up the responsibility to reply to all the points we have raised on corruption.
Meanwhile, Marak added that the BJP MLAs are constantly raising any issue related to corruption with the government.
As far as corruption is concerned, or the irregularities is concerned, we are doing whatever we can at our own level. Even the CAG report in the district council, it's going to have a very big impact because the governor will obviously take some decision if the district councils do not reply. So district council issues I have been raising from before, even now I'm still raising, and now district council is in such a position that they have to reply. And if they don't reply, then obviously, hopefully, maybe governor might order CBI inquiries because these are all central funds. So other irregularities in the state government will be looked after by our own MLAs. We are also raising those issues which are concerning Garovis. So in general, our this one MLAs and our state president will take up the matter as far as state is concerned.
Meanwhile, former minister and state BJP legislator Earl Heck dismissed speculations of division within the party in Meghalaya. It may be mentioned that speculations were doing rounds of a possible divide between the BJP MLAs and the party's state unit.
As a BJP, we are together. There's no doubt on that. Okay, sometime when questions come, we have to reply. Doesn't mean that we are doing individually as a part of the party, or doesn't mean this is individual. When I talk on behalf of the party, it is a party only. So you have to accept this as the leaders. As a leader, you have to show your, acceptability. So whatever we speak, whatever speak, whatever our president speak, he speak on behalf of the party, which is not against the party, which is for the betterment of the party and the strength of the party. What's wrong to speak on behalf of the party?
And on to Tripura now. Well, hectic politicking is being witnessed in Tripura as the date for the crucial by-polls near. Stepping up the party campaign, Trinamool Congress National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee drummed up support for TMC candidates for 6 Agartala and Town Bardauli seat. Launching an attack on the ruling BJP, Banerjee said that the party's days are numbered in the state and that the change in chief minister was indicative that the Saffron party is on back foot.
বিজেপি তত ভীত সন্ত্রস্ত হয়েছে ত্রিপুরার পরিবর্তন হবে এ নিয়ে কোনো দ্বিমত নেই আমি তো বলেছিলাম নভেম্বর মাসে যে বিপ্লব বাবু আপনার বিদায় ঘন্টা বেজে গেছে কি হলো এক মাস আগে টাটা বাই বাই খেলা শেষ নৌকায় তো ভূত ধরে গেছে এখন নৌকার চালক পাল্টাচ্ছে আরে নৌকা ডুবতে চলেছে চালক পাল্টে কি হবে আপনার কাপড় ছিঁড়ে গেছে আপনি তাপ্পি দিয়ে কদিন চালাবেন আপনি চালাতে পারবেন না এখন বিপ্লব দেবের জায়গায় নতুন গুলির পাঠা কাকে করেছে ডক্টর মানিক সাহা মদটা পুরনো বোতলটা নতুন নতুন বোতলে পুরনো মদ এই হচ্ছে বিজেপির ডবল ইঞ্জিন সরকারের নিদান তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস ত্রিপুরার মাটিতে পা রেখেছে বলে মুখ্যমন্ত্রী বাধ্য হয়েছে পরিবর্তন করতে আর 2022-এ মুখ্যমন্ত্রী বদলেছে 2023-এ সরকার পাল্টাবে আপনি লিখে রাখুন 19-এ পাল্টাওনি 20-তে পাল্টাওনি 21-এ পাল্টাওনি হঠাৎ করে 22-এ কি এত জ্বালা হলো কেননা তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস পিছনে পড়ে গেছে আর আমরা আমাদের দলটা অন্য দল থমকে চমকে লাভ নেই আর ত্রিপুরাকে রিমোট কন্ট্রোল দিয়ে দিল্লি চালাবে না ত্রিপুরাকে রিমোট কন্ট্রোল দিয়ে ত্রিপুরার মানুষ চালাবে
Well, Banerjee also said that the battle in Tripura is not between the TMC and the BJP, but the people of the state and the Saffron party.
একটা মানুষকে পুরসভা নির্বাচনে নিজেদের গণতান্ত্রিকভাবে ভোটাধিকার প্রয়োগ করতে দিতে দেয়নি আপনারা ভোটে গেছেন আপনারা পোলিং স্টেশনে গেছেন আপনারা নিজের ভোট নিজে দিতে চেয়েছিলেন কিন্তু দুয়ারে গুন্ডা মডেল আপনাদের আটকেছে এই ভোটে সাহস করে বুথে গিয়ে ভোটটা দিতে হবে এই লড়াই শুধুমাত্র তৃণমূল বনাম বিজেপি নয় এই লড়াই ত্রিপুরার মানুষ বনাম বিজেপির লড়াই আর তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস শেষ রক্তবিন্দু দিয়ে আপনাদের পাশে আছে আজকে যে সংখ্যার মানুষ আমাদের ভালোবাসা দিয়েছে আমাদের কৃতজ্ঞতা আশীর্বাদ দোয়া সমর্থনের ঋণে আবদ্ধ করেছে শুধু এরা যদি ভোটাধিকার প্রয়োগ করতে পারে 23 তারিখ ভোটে বোকাট্টা হয়ে যাবে ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টি আমি দায়িত্ব নিয়ে নিতে পারি কিন্তু ভোট আপনাদের দিতে হবে দুয়ারে গুন্ডা মডেলের জায়গায় আগামী বছর অর্থাৎ 6 মাস 7 মাস পর ফেব্রুয়ারি মাসে নির্বাচনের পর যখন উন্নয়নমূলক গণতান্ত্রিক নতুন সরকার প্রতিষ্ঠা হবে ত্রিপুরার মাটিতে সেই সরকার দুয়ারে গুন্ডা মডেল না দুয়ারে সরকার মডেল প্রতিষ্ঠা করবে ত্রিপুরার আপামর জনসাধারণের জন্য
Meanwhile, former Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Deb was seen campaigning for party candidates for the ensuing by-polls. Speaking exclusively to Northeast Live, they've exuded confidence that the BJP will win all the 4 seats in the by-polls.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में पूरे भारतवर्ष 130 करोड़ जनता जिस दिशा में चल रहे त्रिपुरा इसके बाहर नहीं है और त्रिपुरा के लोगों ने 2018 में सुनने से लेके सरकार बनाया। त्रिपुरा अलग राज्य है, त्रिपुरा के लोग अलग है। जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने त्रिपुरा के लिए जो काम किया, डॉक्टर मानिक शाह के नेतृत्व में भी जो काम चल रहे हैं, आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, उसी को सामने रख के चारों विधानसभा एक नया जुआर के साथ, नया जोश के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सभी कार्यकर्ता एवं त्रिपुरा के जो पवित्र वोटर है, जो दिशा निर्देश करते हैं, मेरा पूर्ण विश्वास है इस बार 23 तारीख जून को जो इलेक्शन होगी, उस इलेक्शन में इतिहास तैयार करके त्रिपुरा का लोग जवाब देंगे, जो कि 18 में भी दिया।
And on to national focus now, will the Enforcement Directorate today summon Congress leader Rahul Gandhi for the 3rd time on Wednesday? Well, the Congress leader was questioned for more than over 8 hours by officers of the federal agency for the 2nd consecutive day today in the National Herald money laundering case. After being interrogated for about 10 hours on Monday, Gandhi came to the ED headquarters on APJ Abdul Kalam Road in central Delhi along with his sister and Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, and his questioning began at 11:30 a.m. today. Well, after a session of about 4 hours, Gandhi took a break for about an hour around 3:30 p.m. and went home. He rejoined the questioning around 4:30 p.m. Meanwhile, Congress leader Randeep Surjewala, briefing news persons, said that the ED probe against Rahul Gandhi is an attempt to muzzle his voice as he has always questioned the center on issues like Chinese intrusion, fuel price hike, unemployment, besides others. The Congress leader also termed ED's Rahul interrogation as attack on the common people.
ये हमला विपक्ष की उस निर्भीक आवाज पर है जो जनता के सवालों को दृढ़ता से सरकार के समक्ष रखते हैं और सरकार से जवाबदेही मांगते हैं, जो जनता के मुद्दों को भयमुक्त तरीके से निडरता से उठाते हैं। भाजपाई सत्ता की एजेंसियों के डर से कितने ही लोगों ने समझौता कर लिया, भाजपा में माफीनामा देकर शामिल हो गए, दूध के धुले बन गए, कितनों ने घुटने टेक दिए, कितनों ने अपनी आत्मा बेच दी। लेकिन श्री राहुल गांधी वो व्यक्ति हैं जिन्होंने सरकार की आंख में आंख डालकर जनता से सवाल उठाए।
And the Enforcement Directorate notified the trial court today that during questioning, Delhi Minister and Aam Aadmi Party leader Satyendra Jain claimed that he lost his memory owing to the effect of COVID. According to the Additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju, who is appearing on behalf of ED in court, Satyendra Jain made this assertion that he lost his memory after being faced with papers pertaining to his involvement in trust that received money from Hawala operations. The Aam Aadmi Party minister's ED detention had already been extended till Monday, June 13. Meanwhile, the bail hearing for Jain was set for Tuesday, that is today. And meanwhile, the court heard Satyendra Jain's bail application today and reserved its decision until June 18. In his argument before the Rose Avenue Court last week, S.G. Raju, representing the interests of the ED, stated that Satyendra Jain is a very slow writer. He takes about 2 hours to write one page. Well, his statement has to be taken in his handwriting. Otherwise, he says, "It's not my statement," ASG Raju said. The Enforcement Directorate notified the trial court today that during questioning, Delhi Minister and Aam Aadmi Party leader Satyendra Jain claimed that he lost his memory owing to the effect of COVID. In a historic move, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today directed all ministries and government departments to recruit 10 lakh individuals within the next 18 months on a mission mode. Well, the decision followed after Prime Minister Modi reviewed the status of human resources across all government departments and ministries. The Prime Minister's review meeting comes more than 2 months after he suggested the secretaries of the central government to take immediate steps to fill up existing vacancies in all the ministries and respective departments. Following this, every department and ministry had prepared a list of vacancies against the sanctioned post. Meanwhile, we have reactions coming in from youths who are elated over Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decisive move to solve the unemployment issue and enhance the governance by filling up vacancies in all government departments.
मैं समझता हूं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने जिस प्रकार से पूरा निरीक्षण करके ये फैसला लिया है कि 10 लाख हमारे युवा युवती भाई बहनों को नौकरी दी जाएगी सरकार में, सरकार के अन्य अन्य विभागों में, पब्लिक सेक्टर अंडरटेकिंग्स में, ये दर्शाता है कि नए भारत के निर्माण में अब युवा शक्ति का बहुत बड़ा योगदान होगा। जब युवा शक्ति हमारी सशक्त होती है, जब युवा की क्षमताएं सरकारी कामकाज में आती है तो उसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ होगा। आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने के लिए हमारी नई नई पीएलआई स्कीम्स में जो उत्पादन क्षमता बढ़ाने की बात हो रही है, जो निर्यात को तेज गति से बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है, इस सब में भी सरकारी भूमिका को नई टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ नए स्वरूप में सोचने के लिए हमारे नए जो लोग जुड़ेंगे सरकार में, इनका मैं समझता हूँ बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस भी मिलेगा और सरकारी कामकाज जनता के साथ जोड़ने में भी लाभ होगा। ये रही बात कांग्रेस की, शायद उनके ध्यान में नहीं आता है किस प्रकार से तेज गति से भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था बढ़ रही है, निर्यात बढ़ रहा है, नए उत्पादन के स्रोत बढ़ रहे हैं, नई फैक्ट्रियां लग रही हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का काम इतनी तेज गति से बढ़ रहा है। ये सब नए काम के अवसर, नई नौकरियां तो स्वाभाविक रूप से लोगों तक पहुंचाता है। मुझे लगता है कि कांग्रेस शायद नारेबाजी के बदले जिन राज्यों में अभी रह गई है उसमें ही सुशासन दे दे, अच्छी सरकार चला ले, जनता की सेवा कर ले, तो देश और देशवासियों का बड़ा हित हो।
However, the Congress has lashed out at the center over the job promise.
देश में भीषणतम बेरोजगारी है, 50 साल में सबसे भयंकर बेरोजगारी। मोदी जी ने सत्ता ली थी 2 करोड़ रोजगार हर साल देने का वादा कर, यानी 8 साल में 16 करोड़ रोजगार देने थे। अब कह रहे हैं 2024 तक केवल 10 लाख नौकरियां देंगे। तो 16 करोड़ नौकरियों का क्या हुआ? और क्या मोदी जी जानते हैं कि केवल केंद्र सरकार में 30 लाख पद खाली पड़े हैं? ये वो चार्ट है जो हमने इस समय प्रधानमंत्री जी के जवाब में लगाया है।
And moving on to Sikkim now, well, the Sikkim government today announced a temporary ban on the release of the controversial Nepali film Kabaddi 4 amid outrage over slapping Mang. Chief Minister Prem Singh Thamang took to social media to announce the state government's decision to impose a ban on the release of Kabaddi 4 until the dispute is resolved in an acceptable manner. This decision comes just a day after the movie producers Sushma Gurung and Anmol Gurung issued a public apology to the Buddhist communities and Hmong associations in Sikkim. Meanwhile, reacting on the ban, the producers of the movie welcomed the decision of the government. It may be mentioned here that lead actress Meruna Mangar had accused Hmong Purba Lama of touching her inappropriately during the crowd rush at the premiere in Nepal and in turn slapped the Hmong, made him hold his ears and perform a sit-up as a punishment. Besides, the actress has not publicly apologized to the Hmong, which has been a widespread demand of the public.
स्थानीय लोग तथा संस्थाओं की भावना को सम्मान करते हुए राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री प्रेम सिंह तामांग ने 17 जून को रिलीज होने वाली कबड्डी 4 जो नेपाली फिल्म है, अभी बहुत चर्चित नेपाली फिल्म है, उसको रिलीज पर प्रतिबंध लगा है सिक्किम पर। और इस फिल्म की मुख्य नायिका मेरुना मंगर और एक लामा के बीच काठमांडू में कई दिन पहले एक हाथापाई की घटना हुई थी और उस घटना को लेकर सिक्किम के बहुत सारे संगठन तथा लोगों ने इस फिल्म को सिक्किम में रिलीज करने पर प्रतिबंध प्रतिबंध लगाने की मांग की थी और इस मांग को मद्देनजर रखते हुए सिक्किम के मुख्यमंत्री प्रेम सिंह तामांग ने 17 जून को रिलीज होने वाली कबड्डी फिल्म की रिलीज पर राज्य में प्रतिबंध लगा है और मुख्यमंत्री ने अपने फेसबुक स्टेटस के माध्यम से जानकारी दी है और उन्होंने स्टेटस में लिखा है कि जब तक इस जो विवाद है इस विवाद का समाधान नहीं होगा तब तक ये फिल्म सिक्किम में रिलीज नहीं होगी।
Meanwhile, we have reactions from Sikkim Chief Minister P.S. Thamang on the ban on release of Kabaddi 4.
जो अभी आप सबको मालूम होगा कि कबड्डी 4 का जो विवाद हुआ है विभिन्न संघ संगठन के द्वारा, उसको मानते हुए हम लोग ने फिलहाल फॉर टेम्परेरी उनको हम लोग ने बैन किया है। ये परमानेंट रूप से नहीं, जब सेटल होगा इनको हम खोल देंगे। फिर क्या होगा, जो अगर संघ संगठन मानेंगे, अगर उनका होगा कि हम लोग सेटल हो गए, आप दिखा सकते हैं तो हम दिखा लेंगे, क्योंकि हम किसी भी जातीय संगठन को और कई संगठन को भावना को हम खिलवाड़ नहीं कर पाएंगे, इसलिए उनको सम्मान करते हैं हमने ये निर्णय लिया है।
And on to the big story from Mizoram now. Well, activist Rotfella Nu or P. Wadbramchongi has reiterated that her protest against ecological damage caused due to alleged faulty dumping of debris by the National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited or NHIDCL will continue till things are rectified. Meanwhile, speaking on behalf of Rotfella, activist Lanwin Fella said that while they are all for development, it cannot come at the cost of the ecology. Lanwin Fella also alleged that despite submission of environmental reports by at least 3 DFOs, the NHIDCL is still continuing with its construction.
Just as protesting every day or carrying on the protest every week or every the whole month will not do much good for even for us or for everybody else who needs to do their work. Whatever the protest has bring out, we are happy as of it now, but we are not fully contented yet. We want more than the so-called notice and stay order. We want environmental restoration also. We have brought it up to the PCCF, and I'm sure he's aware of the situation that the NHIDCL does not have clearance or they have not done proper impact assessment. His reaction did surprise us. He does seem to know that the impact assessment needs to be done, but he does not seem so aggressed about it. So maybe he might have another idea about what to do about that. That I'm not sure. Justice Mizoram is a movement, not an organization, nothing else, nothing more than a movement. We are a bunch of enthusiastic youth of Mizoram who comes together due to the concern and growing apprehension towards our environmental destruction. And our intentions and objectives will be saving the ecology environment of Mizoram, and we will go as far as what it needs to be, whatever we can do in every sphere of environmental destruction within Mizoram.
All right, that's all we have for now. Keep watching Northeast Live for more news and updates. Thanks for watching and good night.
Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region.